Hello and welcome to today's video on how to integrate the MAM SDK Core into your existing application. So we're going to show you an existing application here. It's just a simple browser-based app, and we're going to make sure that the app is set to build for any device. We're going to clean the build folder here and just do a build and just make sure that everything compiles properly before we start integrating the MAM SDK. And the next thing we want to do is go to the Citrix website and download the MAM SDK for the platform that you're working on. And so we're going to accept the end user license agreements and the legal stuff that we have to do here and download the zip file for the SDK and save it locally near our project folder. So we're going to extract the zip now, and there's some sample files that we're going to use here throughout this, but the main one we're going to grab here right now is the frameworks folder. And we want to go into our application and paste this folder into the application. So we'll use this later when we bring it into Xcode and point it to these files. So what we're going to do is go into the Xcode general settings, and we're going to add the frameworks into our application. So we're going to add the files. So we need to navigate back to our project folder so that we can point Xcode at our framework features that we need to add here. So we're going to go ahead and select those and open. And so now what we want to do is add a bridging header file, which basically will bridge our Swift application back to our framework files, which are not written in Swift. So we're going to go ahead and give this a header file a name. So typically you make this just match the name of whatever your application is. And this, I just use Simple Browser MBB here, MAM SDK, to essentially help me define what that is. So Swift will, or Xcode will open up that file and just show you the contents of it. And so now what we need to go do is go into our build settings and basically reference our header file here. The other thing is you want to make sure you have all your app icons configured in your application, or there will be problems later. So now what we want to do is you generate a UUID that we're going to use later in our application here in a second for the config. So what we're going to do is go into the application settings info, and we want to add a URL type. And this is essentially a way to reference resources inside the application. So typically you give this identifier the name of your app. And so this will add this Citrix SSO and the GUID to the end of this, and this is essentially a way that we use to reference resources and just specify a key of bundle identifier, and we're done with this piece of it. So now what we want to do is to go into build settings, and we want to search for bitcode, and essentially what we want to do is disable bitcode for our application. And make sure you go across all the settings and set them to no. So now what we want to do is go to signing capabilities and just make sure that your signing profile is selected for your app target. In our case, it's Citrix. And then what we want to do is add a capability here, and we want to add a keychain. And now we go to keychain groups, and we want to add our app identifier here as well. And now we want to add com.citrix.mdx. You notice here when I was doing this, for some reason it swapped out that string, so we're going to have to go back and change it. And then we want to put our signing identifier.com.domain name. And I'm going to go back here and just correct the that middle identifier there. So now what we want to do is add a new run script phase, and essentially what this does, it allows us to run some post-compiled processing on your application. So we want to select new run script phase, and we want to expand this. You notice there's a section here for a script, and so what we need to do is if in the zip file, some of the information that we need was already there. And if you go into developer guides and open one of these, you'll see an MDX file creation script, right? And this allows us to create the policy files for the server as well as do some of the processing. So you want to just take that script and paste it in. And if you notice, there's a toolkit dir logs and some project dir where the tools are located. So what we want to do is make sure that we take the data and tools directory and copy them into the parent folder of our project so that this script will find the files that it needs. You want to go in there and go into our parent folder and just paste those in. And so now what we need to do is set some values in the script. And the first one's going to be the package ID, and that's a UUID that we generated earlier in this process. And then your app ID prefix, in our case is Citrix, you would get this out of your Apple developer account. So yours would not be Citrix, it would be whatever your identifier name is. So now let's integrate the SDK into the application. So we want to import the CTX MAM Core. We want to derive the Core SDK delegate. And then we want to add the set delegate and initialize SDKs into our application. So now what we want to do is go into our project settings, and we want to go into advanced and set this to legacy. And what this does is it puts all the build output from our script and MBX files into our project folder. So now if we go to a clean build, we should hopefully find out that our app compiles okay. Okay, so now we've generated our MDX file. Let's go find it in our file system and load that file into the console. So you notice, because we changed that setting in settings, we have a build folder here, and inside of here we have our application name.mdx file. So if we log into the Citrix Cloud Console, what we should be able to do is simply upload this file into the console. So let's click on the Manage button inside the Cloud landing page. Go to Configure, select Applications. We want to add our application, and it's important that we select MDX file here. And so you'll see the platforms that are supported on the left, and we're going to do an iOS file, so I just cleared everything and specified that. So bear in mind that when you name this app, that name can't already exist in the console. I'm going to go ahead and click Next and select Upload, and then we're going to go to the folder where our MDX file was located, and we'll navigate back into the path just like we did before. And select our MDX file and select Open. You notice it provide the policies here. And now what we want to do is we want to scroll down till we find App Passcode and click the toggle to turn that off. And we're going to scroll a little bit further down into the policies, and we're looking for Device Passcode, and we want to turn this off as well. And the reason why we want to do that is we've not implemented local auth, so we want to turn that off, and we want to set non-compliant device behavior to allow app after warning. So if we have some problem, we don't stop the app from functioning. And just click Next. We want to select a delivery group. And what this does is it defines what users and devices get a given application policy. So what we're going to do is select our delivery group here. In our case, we're going to select all users, but if you wanted to limit this down to just a given group of users, you could select another delivery group that's based on Active Directory groups. So you could deliver it to just a small set of users and not deliver this out to your entire user community. And now at this point, you're ready to enroll a device into the environment and test your application and see how it behaves. We hope you enjoyed this video.